Maybe. All right, we are live streaming. We're running a bit late, but there are reasons for that. So it is June 29th, 2022. It is 2:08 p.m. Heather Stocking with the Athabasca Advocate with Town of Athabasca Mayor Rob Balay. How are you?
I am doing just fine. Thank you for asking.
Good. So you've had a busy morning. I'm gonna jump right into it. We had a press release that something's happened up at the multiplex. Is operationally, besides the boilers, everything's fine. What happened that is going to cause a bit of
Well, basically, the multiplex applied for the Canadian Emergency Wage Subsidy Program. We had applied through CRA and through our accountant at the time, and we were accepted on the three, I guess, the three pillars that you have to qualify for. So we thought we checked all those boxes, and we were successful in being approved for that. And for approximately a little over a year, we received funds in the amount of about $525,000, so that we didn't have to lay off all our employees and could keep them employed, where they would do a bunch of maintenance work where they wouldn't normally do that. And it would just make things easier as far as to when the province did let us reopen, that it would make the transitions smoothly. Mm-hmm. And then our auditors, our new auditors, brought forward to the board that we may not qualify and we should ask an opinion from the CRA. So we did. And as it turned out, they did an audit and they said we didn't qualify. And they're telling us we have to pay that money back. So that's approximately 200 and I think $30,000 per municipality to pay it off. Now there was a bit of a surplus that we had due to that with the multiplex, and I'm assuming that will go towards that, as the multiplex isn't allowed to carry surpluses by the Societies Act. So in the end, it's still going to be a hit. So we had a special meeting today because as of July 8th, we will start getting charged penalties and interest. So we needed to move quickly to make sure that that doesn't happen and cost us additional money. So we passed a motion saying that we would pay our portion of it to come from reserves.
Okay, so that meeting took place today, right? That you guys made the decision.
Yeah, that was the first meeting, and then I was in another meeting. That's why it was late. So, okay. And part of it is we are going to still try and convince CRA that they're wrong in their decision. So go higher up the chain and also convince them that part of it was, had we laid all those people off, they would have gone on CERB. And the government would have ended up actually paying more money in the end than what they did on the CEWS program. So we're going to make that argument as well, and see if we can't come to some sort of resolution on it where we're not paying back the entire amount. So that's yet to be determined, and we have motions on the board both at the multiplex to explore both those avenues.
So you said that there's kind of this deadline before you incur penalties, which is July 8th. That's not very far away.
No.
And then July 1st is a holiday. So are you going to be able to get a response back, or are you just going to send the money in and hope that you get it back again?
That's the plan.
Okay.
For now, because we don't want to take the chance. We don't want to cost, because the penalties and the interest on that amount of money are quite significant. So we don't want it to be any worse of a hit than it is already.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, when you owe the government money, they want it right now. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So that's too bad, because the alternative was you would have laid off most of the staff, and then
and they would all went on on the CERB program, right? Which was
Right.
$2,000 a month, and we received much less than that on the Qs because we were still paying, I think, 60% of their wage. So
Right. And
it was, I
but
don't understand.
not only would they be on queues, but some of them might have left, gotten jobs somewhere
Yeah,
else, and then
yeah. So I don't understand their thinking, but it's the CRA, right? Come on.
yeah. All right. Do we have any news on doctors?
On doctors, yeah, we have a doctor coming. Actually, we're actually looking, if anyone's listening out there, we would like I guess lodging in the Cornwall area. We do have something secured in another place in town that's available for them. They will be coming. The first doctor will be coming in the middle of August, so that's sort of been confirmed. So that's good news. So if there's anyone out there that knows there's a house that's for rent, or because they do want to rent for the first year probably anyways before they settle down and buy a place. So we're looking for that. So if anyone who's listening out there, please contact me. We have till August 15th for doing that. But in the meantime, we do have a place for them for the family. It's his name is Dr. Perez, and he has a young family with a wife and 2 children. So it's great to have a young family coming in to help fill that void. And also we're waiting for the second one, which if everything works out with the placing and the passing of the exams, will be around just before Christmas. So we'll have another doctor.
Okay. Where are these doctors coming from? Do you know?
Well, so one is originally from Nepal. That's
Okay.
Dr. Perez, and the other one is actually from Moldova.
Interesting.
Or Moldova, yeah.
Moldova. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting.
But they've been in Canada. They've both been in Canada for a few years already.
Oh, okay. Oh, but just not working in Alberta.
Just not, yeah.
Okay, so that's why they have to do the tests and stuff.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
exactly.
Okay. Another hit to town is the Cornwall Reservoir and the repairs on the break in November. Water Commission's not going to pay for it. And
yeah, so that's I didn't quite agree with our other partners in that regard, because it was basically every drop of water that the commission gets flows through the Cornwall Reservoir. If it doesn't, they don't get any. And they have been helping out with paying the utilities, their portion of the utilities to do that, but they don't pay any O&M. They have helped a little bit on the couple small upgrades we've done, but I think what it's brought to light is the need to get a proper agreement in place that addresses all of those issues, right?
okay.
And part of the history is originally, instead of building a bypass line on the commission line, I guess on the regional line, the government wouldn't fund that. So it would have had to been the commission themselves pay for the entire installation of that bypass. So they decided to use the Cornwall Reservoir and our distribution system to push the water through to Collington, Boyle, Grassland, and Wandering River. And really, we're the only member that's affected that way. All the other members, no regional water flows through their systems to go to further on into onto the regional system. So we have to find a way and come to an agreement that's going to be fair and compensate the one member, because if there's that's been happening now for 12 years, 11 years, and so 60% of the water that flows through that system is for the region. Only 40% is for the town and the Cornwall area. So all those pumps and everything else have been wearing out 60% faster as a result of that. So when an upgrade is required, I mean, our members are going to have to, I see it, buck up to help pay for that. So, but we need to get that officially in writing.
So you said O&M, you mean operations and maintenance. They don't pay
Yeah.
operations and maintenance. Okay.
No. So it would be like, I don't know what's a little easier. It'd be like if the commission owned, if the town owned a grader and the commission used it and so they're paying for the fuel, but when it's time to replace that grader after it's wore out, the commission hasn't paid any money to it. It's still the town's responsibility, right? So we have to find a way that's fair to address that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they even raised their rates here this year again, didn't they? So
they did, yeah, and so it's passed on. So anyways, I mean, I'm sure that, you know, we have a great relationship with our partners, and we're gonna iron this out. But I guess it's this issue has sort of brought it to the forefront and the need going forward that to do this. So that's what we're gonna do.
okay. Who is the town representative on the commission?
Chair, Councillor Bahalik is the chair, and the other representative is yours truly.
Okay, all right. So there's been talk of Midway coming to town. Do you have any more information on that, or?
Yeah, I mean, we approved the I guess allowing them to do it. They're originally going to have it on the riverfront, but then they decided there wasn't enough room for that, so they're going to have it in that big staging area on the west side of the car wash.
On the east side.
Sorry, yeah,
Yeah.
the east side. Yep. I got switched around here. So
yeah.
So and you know, we had to just make sure that it was all right with Alberta Transportation because it is accessing off a highway in and out. So as far as I know, yeah, it's going ahead. I'm not even sure of the date actually.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay.
But I know it's in July here, so coming up.
I believe it's like the weekend of the 17th or something.
Yeah, something like that. So yeah, so I mean that'd be great for our you know, our residences and our residents and community members to come out and enjoy it. So hopefully they'll get good weather.
I'm not originally from this community. I'm from Barrhead, which I've mentioned before. In Barrhead, though, there's the Ag Society and the town work together and put on a lot of these things. And I'm just wondering, has that always been a division between the Ag Society here and the town, or is it just? Yeah, I mean, you're from here. You know,
a long time ago, there used to be a rodeo and a whenever there was, I can't remember if it was actually around Canada Day or later on in the summer, where, you know, and it always used to be up where Pleasant Valley, the new Pleasant Valley Lodge is, and where the high school was in that area on a regular basis. And you know, I'm really not sure who coordinated that. I don't think it was the town, but yeah, I mean, I don't see why there isn't a reason why if we can't get together and make something like that happen. Someone has to be the champion of it. I don't know that it's the town's responsibility to do that, but I mean, if the Ag Society or some other service group were to want to be the lead on that or champion that the town of course would partner with them and work with that, because it benefits all our community members, right? So
yeah. I mean, just as an example, like Barrhead, the Barrhead Ag Society puts on the fair. The Barrhead Ag Society is the one who brings in the Midway. So when I hear that the Athabasca Chamber of Commerce is bringing in the Midway, it kind of makes me scratch my head, you know, because.
So, you know, I just think that company reached out and contacted the chamber, and so they thought, hey, this would be a good thing. I think that's how that initiated. But you're right. You know, if someone were to commit to doing that on a regular basis, on a yearly basis, whether it be the Ag Society or the chamber for that matter. I mean, the chamber pretty much runs the car show for the River Rats, or I don't know if that's the River Rats does that, don't they?
The car show does
their own thing, and it
yeah,
just happens to be during the River Rats Festival every year.
right, yeah. It's a
Yeah,
Canada Day thing, so yeah.
so that's something that that we would support, or that I would support, as mayor, and I'm sure our council would as well, if someone would do that. But I I don't think that's our council's responsibility or our administration to be doing that. I think we would just have to work in conjunction with someone like the Ag Society or the Chamber or Lions Club or Rotary Club or whoever decided to do that.
Okay, well, we'll put it out there and see
Yeah,
if
see if
some
if
collaboration.
the seed starts to grow.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, your name is signed to a letter to the editor about railways. Do you want to expand on that?
Yeah, so basically it was organized through um, I guess I think the Forest Association, and what they did is they got all the mayors of a large portion of the mayors in Northern Alberta to sign on, and it's just complaining about the service that CN gives and how poor it is. I mean, I was particularly willing to do that on because of Alpac. Alpac has had to restrict their production because they can't get cars to ship out their product, which is ridiculous, right? And so that's costing Alpac a lot of money, and when it costs them money, it affects their operations in our community, which affects us. So I was more than happy to do that. CN has, from the research that I've done, has done a very poor job in meeting the needs of especially Northern Alberta, and both private industry, and that affects the agricultural segment as well, because they're shipping the lack of cars for grain. It affects that as well, and it sort of boils down to the fact that their priority is shipping oil by rail right now, and they've converted a lot of the cars that used to do that to that, and they have a bunch of excuses as to why the service is poor, but to me those are none of those excuses are acceptable. And so I was very happy to sign that letter along with all the other mayors.
Well, that brings up a good point, because not only Alpac, but Athabasca Minerals Inc. is going to be out there too, and they ship 100% by rail.
Yeah, so so we just have to. That's where we can come in as elected officials. We can lobby it's not so much the provincial. This is a federal issue because CN is owned federally. So, or the jurisdiction is that because it crosses borders. So, so we're doing what we can to help lobby CN to do a better job. And
yeah, so there could have been more on here, but yeah, it's Jackie Clayton, the mayor of Grand Prairie, Kevin Zahara, mayor of Edson, Marcel Michaels, Hinton, Tyler Warman, Slave Lake, Tom Pickard, Whitecourt, and you, and Jason Cripps, who's the president and CEO of Alberta Forest Products Association. It's
but you can see why those particular, I guess, to me, towns and cities, because of the industry that's involved with them, we were targeted primarily because of Alpac, I think, and the forest industry. So but yeah, it could be signed on by every mayor in Northern Alberta. Would help. But
exactly.
But when they reached out, I was more than happy to add my name to that and to make a few phone calls to help with the lobby efforts.
So there's a call for increased accountability, being on time. The excuse is winter, it's cold, but CN isn't a new company.
No. Well, they have many cars that have gone out of service because of maintenance, and that's inexcusable. They knew those cars needed either replacing or better maintenance. That was the company. They chose not to do that. To me, it's unacceptable. They're a national company that supplies the products to our entire nation. So they need to be held more accountable.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, well, and any Canadian company who says, yeah, but the winter, that isn't an
Come on.
excuse.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, you
exactly.
should know by now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It doesn't get hot in Arizona either.
exactly.
They don't
Yeah,
need air conditioning in the summer there. No.
yeah, right. Okay. That's all I had on my list. So we've actually, even though we started late, we're finished on time, unless you had something else that you wanted to. You did say that it felt like an hour talking to me, so
I said that like sarcastically.
I know, I know.
Well, the only other thing I would say is that, our June 30th deadline has come up for
Right, AU.
AU's report to the minister. So I'm very interested in to see what it does say or their lack of. And then depending on that, see where we go from there as far as our lobby efforts. But I do know that we're going to be meeting again with the new board chair shortly after this report has been released, because he did promise us that meeting as a follow-up.
So just because it's due on the 30th doesn't necessarily mean it's released, right? Like the government will probably take a few days to review it.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
It'll take a little while, but
Okay.
I think we'll have an opportunity to get some insight as to what's in there or what's not in there.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, because just because it's due on the 30th doesn't mean it's public on the 30th.
No, no. I mean, I'm sure the minister isn't going to be calling up the mayor and sharing everything that's in there, but we will be touching base to get some insight.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess we can talk about that too. There was an article, the new chair is Byron Nelson. He came up from Calgary last week. It was last week.
On Tuesday. Yeah.
Right. And that was a good visit. When I spoke to him, he was very enthusiastic about the area.
Yeah, he's I think he was pleasantly surprised that just what our community does have to offer. I think it was really eye-opening for him and gave him a clear perspective on the entire issue when he actually visited the grounds, and his comments were how beautiful the grounds were and how well maintained and how good the buildings were. But it also, I think there was a lot of shock value when we walked down the hallways and they were all empty, right? So there's a lot of waste there, right? And if the university's got a plan going forward as to how they're going to use that, I'm very interested to hear what that is. And if it's a good plan, I'm be extremely happy to help support it and help do whatever we can to make that plan roll out.
Oh yeah, he was very impressed with the buildings, but he was also very impressed with the riverfront space. The golf course, you guys took him out to the golf course, and the walking trails. He said, at some point he'd like to come back and explore those things if he had the opportunity. So yeah, it's not just the university that can draw people here. This is a beautiful little town.
It is, and it just has to be sold that way.
Exactly.
Yeah. So.
But I guess the other thing I guess we can mention, because it is coming up in 2 days, is the River Rats Festival.
Yeehaw.
Yeehaw, yes. And so
25th anniversary.
25th, yes. Yes.
Well, let me just say thank you for all the work that you did on that committee. I know you've done a lot, and I'm looking forward to this being the best one ever.
No pressure. No pressure.
No, not intended.
No. Yeah, it has been a lot of work. And even this morning, there's emails flying back and forth, and but ticket sales in the last week have we've doubled what we had. So yeah, we're looking at pretty full grounds, at least for Friday for sure.
I think people are looking for a party, Heather.
I think so.
Long enough.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you and Reeve Hall and Mayor Durko from Boyle are going to be up giving a speech on Friday. So
Yeah, there was a vicious rumor going around that we were going to do a quartet, but we were missing a fourth, so we had to cancel. Sorry.
You know, Danny Hooper's right there.
Danny, I never thought of Danny. I debated. I was in a debating tournament in high school, and I debated against Danny Hooper. Actually, I believe he was from Louis Saint Laurent High School. So,
Oh, okay.
but he beat us. Darn it.
Oh, darn it. Okay.
So,
I have a little connection with him, and he knew my uncle, my dad's brother. They actually like were situated at Tomahawk close together and rode horses and chased cattle. So when I phoned him and said my last name, I could tell that there was this pause. And
yeah,
yeah,
there's a connection there. Yeah.
yeah. Well, yeah, stalking name isn't that common, so.
Well, that's true. Yeah, yeah. So and so it should be great. He's a heck of an entertainer.
Oh yeah.
And that's why we're so happy. I'm going to give another plug right now too, that Danny Hooper is also going to be our MC and auctioneer at our celebrity dinner this fall and at the end of October. So he's going to see lots of Athabasca this summer.
Well, but he's not the celebrity at the celebrity dinner either.
No, he's not. He's just he'll be part of the entertainment, and he's emceeing and doing the auctioneer. But yeah, we're going to have Olympian and world champion Kevin Martin is our celebrity, and it's kind of going to be, there's going to be a hot stove panel about with some other world champions in that as well, that people will be able to ask a few questions. So I think it's going to be a little different format, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So
okay.
I think once again, people will be looking to have a first party indoors, that big party that we haven't had before. So
yeah, exactly. So yeah, mark your calendar. It's the 28th. I should know.
28th, Friday night, the 28th of October. That's correct.
Yeah.
At the multiplex.
So lots of opportunities to see Danny Hooper. Lots of opportunities to have some fun this year. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. So, okay. Well, thank you very much.
All right.
Good time. This is our last talk until September.
Okay, well, I'm sure we're going to see you long before that, but for the millions of viewers out there, you'll have to wait till September now.
All right. We get lots of views on YouTube. You'd be surprised.
Okay, well, that's good. That's great.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see that. All right, so have a great summer.
You too. Bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.